Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of the Ealing Road podcast. Today I'm joined in the studio by Clayton. Clayton, mate, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
And I'm also joined by Will, who we haven't seen in quite a while on the podcast. But he's back, and no doubt some fresh thoughts on Mikael Damsgaard after his performance on the weekend.
Yep.
Will, mate, how are you? And
Very
can we expect any stories from Portugal this episode?
I can tell a couple of the PG ones. I'll try and steer away from a couple of the other ones. But yeah, it was a good little trip away, good scouting trip. So
Up the Norwich.
say no more about Norwich.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Will and a few of our other mates went to Portugal to watch Brentford B in the Atlantic Cup.
That's it.
It stalked Romeo Beckham halfway across Europe.
Anything for him.
So yeah, maybe we can talk a little bit about that. But before then, just before we get into things, gentle reminder that we are now on YouTube under the name The Ealing Road Podcast. So hello to people watching on YouTube. So please do find us, give us a subscription, like and comment on our videos, and also whilst we're on it, follow us on Twitter because we are trying to build our follow account. So let's just get straight into this then. Palace, Clayton. We previewed it on the game before the game on Wednesday evening. We both said at the time we were expecting a win. But in actual fact, it's just another shit game against Palace, isn't it?
Still, what's that? It's like 4 goals in 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
All draws. Well, I mean, you always asked me first, so what were your thoughts?
Oh, awful.
Do you think we were awful?
No, I don't think we were awful, just the game was awful. We said before, like it's like the managers have cancelled each other out. I think Frank said it in his post-match as well. The teams are just set up to just play well against each other. Didn't make for the best game of football in the world, but I didn't think we were bad. I didn't think Palace were that great
either. We had chances.
Yeah.
We did create chances. I mean, I think 3 of them fell to Norgard, who isn't the most prolific scorer, but still created a couple. But to be honest, I said it before the game, it would definitely be a draw, and I wasn't wrong. So, not that I am often wrong, but once again,
it's good to have you back,
Will. On the balance of the game, you probably have to say fair result.
I
know you mentioned Norgard a couple of chances. I think the second one where he has it on the volley actually gets a really clean connection with it. If he puts it either side of the keeper, I think it probably goes in.
Was that the one at the edge of the box?
Yeah. After Jensen's sort of heads it back after, I think it was an Mbumo cross. But yeah, bar Vitaly's goal at the end, we didn't really have much in the game. Neither did Palace, that I can remember.
I thought they looked good in spells, better than kind of the league position suggests. But then in other spells, they looked pretty shocking. Midfield, like 4-4-2s, the midfield was going to look a bit non-existent. But then you have like Andre Ayew up front.
Yeah,
no, Jordan Ayew. And obviously he's just, I don't know how he has that many appearances for Crystal Palace. And I know I follow a few of their fans on Twitter, and they just hate the fact that he starts every week.
Yeah.
And then they have Mateta up there as well.
Oh my God,
he was shocking
Mateta
as
was
well.
Shocking.
He's adding to the Kiefer Moore list of just use the strike. And that bloke that came on for Southampton, that was 6'7".
Yes.
Yeah. No. Mateta was like non-league level. He every touch. I don't think he made a good touch.
There was one touch where he was played through on goal when they were 1-0 up, and the touch was so bad that he was through on goal and he ended up behind 2 centre backs from his touch.
Yeah, I think it could have been a different game if they'd have had Zaha. He always seems to in every game that he plays really, but it's like you say, it's just like we've just levelled up against Palace for whatever reason. Have no idea. Always is amazing though to get a goal late on. I think it was Randello on the GPG was asking us to just talk about late goals in general. Did it feel like it feels like a win when you score in the 96th minute?
It does. It's a bit. This one I felt was bigger as well because of. I know we've got the unbeaten run, which is actually something to be very proud of in this division, because I know everyone. We always say everyone beats everyone, but I mean we played Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Tottenham. They're not bad teams at all. We played Arsenal away. That was a great result. And it just feels good. But the only thing that annoys me about the late goal is that the unbeaten streak might just come to an end against Fulham. So I think they'll love it. But
and we'll get onto that.
That's a good point.
That is terrifying, to be fair. And just a word on 11 unbeaten in the Premier League. That's really hard to do for any team on any budget. That's just like it's testament to how well we've done this season. To go 11 unbeaten in the Premier League, like Will's just said, they're not being against crap teams.
The thing that bugs me about it is it's such an achievement. Where do you see it in the media?
It's not undercover.
Bar a couple of tweets from and like shout out to Jay Harris again. Like he's always doing his promo, and he did quite a few pieces about. I think he actually did a piece about why has it not been spoken about more in Athletic. But like kind of a bit more mainstream than Athletic. You don't really see much about it. You see a lot of people talking about Brighton and Fulham. Fair enough, but I don't know. I feel like we still be that teams like Brentford, like we'll never get out of it.
I don't mind that, to be honest. I saw an Arsenal fan crying when they were top of the league earlier on in the season, and they weren't getting mentions from like the boys on Match of the Day or whatever.
Yeah. What, to win the league?
Well, not even just to win the league, but how well they're doing and stuff. And I was thinking, why does it bother you so much whether you get talked about or not? Like with Brentford here, I don't give a toss if we're mentioned about having. Yes, it's nice to get praise every now and then, but at the same time, we just play our own game, and we always have, And if we go under the radar, that helps a bit more. And I'm not saying we'll go under the radar against, Fulham won't know what kind of Brentford they'll come up against, but I do think it doesn't bother me that we're a bit.
I kind of don't get it when people like tweet Match of the Day and be like, "Oh, we lost on Match of the Day again." It's what do you expect?
I knew that game when I was watching that game. I knew we were going to be last. But it's like they used to do the thing where they'd have a big game at the end to keep viewership. But I think they kind of sacked that off because that game's on at like midnight.
Yeah.
So now they just basically put the least viewed, which is going to be us.
It's always going to be us.
Us or Bournemouth.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly. I don't know why people get so angry about it.
It's all right. Just don't stay up for it. Hopefully, you've been to the game already. On the topic of media, just thinking it quickly, I did have a cool moment the other day. I was had BT Sport on, and they had this kind of advert for multiple different sports, showing all these moments, some sort of catchphrase. But one of them was because the Man City away was on BT, so it was like the Tony goal and like the absolute limbs, and it was like on one of these like professionally produced BT Sport like. I don't know, the moment is everything. It was just like a really cool moment. Like Roslev just like jumping into the crowd. That was pretty cool.
No, they're always good. I remember when they used to do them in like the championship days. I know, like they do like a little 5 minute, not 5 minutes, like a minute long ad before a game, like a run-in. And we were included in the run-in. And I remember thinking, why the hell are we included in the run-in? It's our first season in the championship. Yeah. But yeah, no, those are always good. I did want to talk about Mbeumo, man of the match for me, I think, on Saturday.
Yeah, did you see the admin, like, they had the 4 options to vote for man of the match after the game, and none of them were Mbeumo, and every single comment was just like, why is it not Brian? Why is it not Brian? No, he was unreal.
Yeah, I think in the last few games especially, I think that's probably the best he's played since the days where he was scoring week in, week out. I think he's got massive potential, I think if he works on his finishing, he's a bit too left-footed for me at the moment, but I can see sort of the progression from when he never, ever used to dare go on his right foot, and now he actually does kind of try and show defenders both ways. Was
that the second assist of this season I can remember on his right foot, so on his weak foot, and it's like it doesn't look like a weak-footed cross, like it's like inch perfect.
Yeah, so he's definitely got, it's not just to stand on, he's definitely got a right foot.
No. He had like a 10-minute spell in the second half where it was classic, but kind of couldn't control the ball to save his life. But no, I think on the whole he was very, very, very good.
Yeah, quite quiet day from Tony. I thought Anderson did quite a good job of pocketing him. To be fair.
Yeah, I think it wasn't. They weren't far off the same when we played them away.
Yeah,
where it wasn't the most exciting game where we couldn't get Tony involved and get the other players playing off him. The club's Twitter account posted the one where I think Tony gets a ball, he chests it up in the air.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't even pass the ball, he just lets it hit his foot. Yeah. That was nice, and that's what you get out of him, even if he doesn't score or set the world alight with his finishing or his runs or assists. That his build-up play is on another level compared to a lot of strikers, and he's one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most complete forwards in the league.
Oh, easily.
Oh, yeah. Like bar Harry Kane.
Yeah, easily. I'd say bar Harry Kane, he's probably the most complete in the league.
Definitely.
Yeah, because Haaland
can take a penalty.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not quick. The only thing he doesn't have in his game is he's not quick.
Yeah, but I think he makes up for it. Yeah, he makes up for it in other areas.
Just to touch on that though, you mentioned Anderson. I know he played for Fulham, but he is so good.
He is very good.
He's so
Danish,
good.
isn't he, as well?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
So when Ben Mee retires, or Janssen, we just say, would you like to join the rest of the Danish squad?
Yeah, I like the sound of that. We like the sound of that.
Doesn't even have to move house.
No. It'd be fine.
Exactly. I do want to talk about Tyreek Mitchell, because we mentioned him on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I think I remember saying I think he's a bit of a tosser, because every time I see him on Match of the Day, he's getting into a scrap with someone. Did you see in the second half when he's on the side of the pitch, off the pitch?
Oh, yeah.
People, you should get booked. He's sat on the side of the pitch injured, crawls back on when the referee's not looking and goes down again. You should get booked for that.
Did you see the TikTok that was going around Twitter?
Oh, yeah, the woman screaming.
I think it was Debbie, and they were like, didn't know. She was like, didn't know a pigeon was inside the ground. It was pretty brutal with that.
Another crap refereeing performance, though, I thought. I think we feel like we're slating referees every week.
I agree. I agree. He just can't control the game.
No, he couldn't.
I think there's the referee, the decline of the referee and performances has happened a lot more drastically than the FA would have planned. I think the FA were hoping that VAR would balance out. The quality has gone down and the authority of the refs has gone down. But, with VAR, that kind of helps them a bit, So if they do make a wrong decision, they go upstairs and they check it and then they change the decision or whatever, or they back them. But I do think that VAR has been so wobbly, as we saw against Arsenal, but that's not the only example. But VAR isn't there to help them anymore. It's almost, I think the referees don't want to give stuff because they're not sure, and now they're obviously the VAR's not going to tell them to stop the game now. So I do think that the referees from not just in the Premier League, from every league I saw. Did you see the one in, I think it was the Premier League too, where it's the under 21s or whatever. Yeah. I think the Brighton goalkeeper had possession of the ball, and attackers running in. And the goalkeeper pushes it away a bit. Their player runs into the keeper, smacks him, and he gives a penalty. And I can't believe how that's happened. And it's in the lower leagues as well. There's a big problem with referees in this country.
Yeah, I think we touched it last week. We spoke about VAR, how it's got. Obviously, there was that awful weekend last weekend or the weekend before, and it has got better since kind of the first week, first year even. But I think Will's right. I think the refs, when you see these refs now have less authority, it's nowhere in between. You either get a ref that wants to make the whole game about him, so you'll have too much authority and stand on. We never see, or maybe you don't notice as much. So, okay, to be fair to them, maybe you don't notice as much when they actually do it right, because that's just the nature of the job. Yeah. But so you either have too much authority or you have too little. Which we keep getting at these home games where other teams will try kind of maybe take a bit of the life out of the game, the atmosphere. The tempo, and they'll kind of make these fouls, and these refs don't do anything because they're hesitant to make the decisions. They've got VAR to rely on, so they'll just let the game go.
I think back then, in our lifetimes, we've had players, Roy Keane, Vieira, Jaap Stam, all of those players, big influence players, who were aggressive and harsh, screaming at the refs and stuff. And the refs were stronger back then. And I think the one that pisses me off now is when they don't give time wasting in the first minute. Is no different to time wasted in the last minute. If a keeper's mucking about with the ball in the first minute, he should get a yellow, and the ref says, right, that's it, do it again, and you get a second. There's your warning, bang. But they don't, and it's inconsistency. That's the problem for me. It's just inconsistency.
On the topic of refs, what were your thoughts on Lee Mason departing company with PJ Morale after the Arsenal game?
I couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe it either. What do you reckon, Will?
I think, to be honest, he's made an error. It's not the only error to happen on VAR. I mean,
it's not his first error.
It's not his first error. He's
had some high-profile ones.
Maybe it's a mutual decision where they've gone, look, just take the hit and whatever. But decisions will be wrong in the future. It's not going to change anything. I do think there was a lot of uproar from the Arsenal fans crying about it. I've never seen a fan base cry so much, and it doesn't win them any supporters, sort of thing. But in terms of that, he's made his decision. He's gone. It's not going to give them 2 points back. Will we see a change? I don't think so. But it's how they bring in new refs who actually know. I think the best one was it 2018 World Cup in Russia. Was when they first used VAR.
Yeah,
that was brilliant.
Yeah, I remember watching it. Brilliant. I remember watching it and thinking, why can't we have something as smooth as this?
Yeah,
in the Premier?
5 years down the line.
Would you be an advocate? In the World Cup just gone, they had the timekeeping where you had crazy amount. Would you be an advocate?
We had 26 added minutes.
When would you be happy with that?
I
mean, I don't see why not.
Yeah, because it would stamp out all the problems.
Exactly. Yeah. Surely, I mean, that was the same kind of thing. And also, you've got the semi-automated. I think we touched on this last week.
Yeah.
You have the semi-automated offside, which Norgard would have just been ruled offside automatically because it would have just run through the plays. So those two things, it's getting even better.
Should we anything else to say on Palace? I mean, it was a terrible game. I may as well just write the podcast out. Move on. Whenever we play Palace,
Mitchell, you're. That's what I've got to say. Oh, sorry about this. Oh, they don't like the swearing, do they?
I'm going to have to edit that. I'm not the C-bomb. We'll go on to GPG questions. James 30 asked, looking forward at Fulham. James 30 asked what formation we should start against Fulham. Randello asked a similar question as well about formations with regards to Fulham. So last time we played them, we lost obviously 3-2. We matched up therefore with a 4. What do we reckon for this? I saw someone say on the GPG that they would probably be more content with us starting with a 5. to be a bit
at the
more.
back.
Yeah, I back that, especially like the havoc that Mitrovic caused us last time. I think it's a long time ago. It was August, wasn't it? So we're like a much better team now.
Exactly.
But yeah, maybe a hazard to the side of caution. We can always change it. Oh, sorry. Just to go back to the Palace game, I was really impressed. This reminded me with Frank's kind of game management, where we were actually behind. He took off both the fullbacks, brought Janelt on, put him left centre back, and then had Brian on right wing back, who ended up getting an assist for the goal, and then also Potter. So it's completely KLP was on left wing back, completely kind of unorthodox, but it kind of worked. And then he had Sharda and Tony up front, and I was kind of sat there like, oh wait, like this is completely different. It did work in the end because you got Janelt on like an overlapping run from centre back, scoring from the change you made on the other side.
Yeah, no, it was good. What did you make of Damsgaard?
I think I'd left by then.
But I thought he played quite well.
Yeah, apparently he played very well.
Yeah, Will wasn't there, just for context.
I wasn't at the
He had
game.
better things to do.
I did, but I didn't see him. But apparently he played very well, and that's coming from people.
What
who
did you
share
think?
a
Because I
similar
thought when he
belief.
came on, I thought we got worse because De Silva was playing well, but he did have some. He had some good moments at that last ditch tackle, which is like the least Damsgaard thing we've ever seen. Probably saved the goal.
Yeah.
And a few good passes, but he still just looks way too slight for me. Like why?
He does look a little bit.
Why are they not just getting on the protein shakes?
You said on the beers last time.
Get
on
on
the pints.
him on something.
Guinness
and a few burgers.
Get him down the Griffin.
Get him a couple of Griffin burgers and a couple of pints of Guinness
a day. Yeah,
every night, like my diet basically.
I think he actually played quite well. I know what you mean though. There were a few good moments, a few times where he gave the ball away, and I think if you actually take a look back at the Palace's goal, I think he actually does leave Eze unmarked in the box, and then kind of walks away and throws his arms up in the air.
Again, are you serious?
Yeah, no, I had a look back at it, and he's coming back from our sort of offside line, and he kind of just lets Eze go in between him, and I think it was maybe Ben Mee or Ethan Pinnock. Eze just drifts in behind and taps.
You're going to have to be right on this, otherwise you're going to get rinsed on YouTube.
I think I am, no, because I remember watching it and I'm thinking to myself, I'll bring this up. But he did. I think he did cut. He played well. I think it's probably one of his best games I've seen him, and he had a good amount of time.
So
as well.
he's 60, like played 30 minutes.
It's good to hear that it's now nearly the end of February. We're finally seeing a half decent performance.
Same with KLP as well. Like he
looks
had a
electric,
couple shaky minutes where he couldn't put the pass together when he came on.
I like his directness. Always wants to run
I'm really happy with him. I think he's going to be good. Just give it time.
The guy who I said had too many letters and numbers in his name actually turns out that's his block number for Griffin Park and for the new stadium. So I apologise for saying your name was just a random mix of numbers and letters.
It's just like
because it actually does have meaning. No, it's N5022 N122. So that is at Griffin Park and at the G-Tech. So shout out to you, mate.
Oh, nice.
I like the name. He asked why Fulham are better now than in the 2020/2021 season. And if the competition's weaker. I'd actually say the competition's probably a bit better than the season.
We're turning into a Fulham podcast.
Yeah, well, I was going to go on to say that because the competition's better, it's testament to how well they've done this year, which is really fucking annoying.
I think they've spent much better.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah, that's
I think one of the best signings of the season is Palhinha in the middle, and which, whilst you were chatting there about you asked the question about the formation, you'll probably pick it up on the camera there. I was in my head, I was trying to work out formations, and I was trying to think, how do you counteract having one of the best midfielders in the league on form playing against you? And you send 5 at the back. That drops one of our midfielders out, doesn't it?
No.
Does it not?
Yeah,
well, maybe
like
just
3 in midfield.
Yeah, maybe like 5-3-2.
Still play
well,
3
so
in
that's
midfield.
out the window. But I was thinking maybe take one out of the midfield, so he's got one less person to tackle and just. But no, I think
surely it's the other way around. Surely you have 3 midfield to play against.
I'm not Thomas Frank, and this isn't the masterclass. But that's my idea up there.
Okay.
But no, in terms of why they're doing so well, Marco Silva has got them playing good football. They know how to win games. They were unlucky against City away. They're unlucky against United at home not to take at least a point. And they've just done Brighton away.
That's a big result.
That's
That's
a
a massive
grab,
result.
It's
a smash and grab, but look at the competition. It's up for grabs getting Europe this season. So those 3 points could be vital,
especially against them. Yeah, I think I'm with you completely. Well, I think it's the recruitment. I think they still have. So what was it 2 seasons ago when they came and they spent all that money and they just like it was a bit like a smaller version of what Forest did this season,
Yeah.
but it didn't pay off. Because I think they bought worse quality players. They made like 11, 10 million pound signings.
Was it Seri and Guisa and stuff like that?
And they also had Scott Parker at that point, who maybe isn't actually a very good manager.
No, well, I just watched a video of him.
Silva.
He's at Club Bruges, and I think they topped their group in the Champions League. And I just watched the video there before we come on, and it's one of the players, the Club Bruges players. Scott Parker's walking out of the tunnel. This is like behind the scenes, and he's walking out, and you hear this bloke effing and blinding at him, just screaming at his own player, like walking behind him, giving him abuse.
Yeah, they've won like 2 games in the last 10 or something.
10 or 11 or something. So I mean, Marco Silva's
got pedigree, doesn't he? Yeah, he's a good manager. So yeah, I think they invested better, some good signings, and then players like Tim Ream, who should have been, who was when I was speaking to Phil at the start of the season, was basically he started the first couple of games, but they signed the guy from West Ham. He was meant to kind of replace him. Just never has, and he's been unbelievable all season.
Tim Ream has been very, very good.
Harrison Reed as well has been really good.
Harrison Reed's class.
Di Cordova-Reed's having one of his best seasons as well.
It was like those kind of players that were already in the squad that experienced, and then obviously
Tete at right back.
Leno's been good. Like that. Yeah.
Leno's
just
been very good.
Jesus.
God, probably painting
This is horrible.
Brentford podcast.
But it could be worse. It could be QPR.
We'll come to a preview, like a proper preview
Gary
for Fulham
Ainsworth.
in a bit. But that's all the questions of the GPG. Will, we have a new section that you haven't tried yet. It's called Away Days.
Right.
Just to remind listeners, in this segment, a notable away game in the last 5 to 10 years will be named by myself, and it will be your two jobs and the listener at home to name the result that day as well as the goal scorers. Last week, Clayton surprised me with Burton Albion away.
Well, let me guess, 5-3.
Yeah, 5-3, yeah.
I wasn't there. I missed that one.
Bad one to miss.
Yeah.
Terrible one to miss. That was a great away day. But this week I'm back on duty, so I have picked a game from the 2013-14 season. I really hope one of you's been.
We won every game 3-1 pretty much.
Well,
3-1 was there?
the game was Peterborough away in the 2013-14 season. I'll give you a few seconds to think about an answer, and as well as the listeners, as well as the goal scorers from that day. Incredible away day, one of my favourites.
Well, I think we know what the score was.
Well, I think we do know what the score was.
Was it 3-1?
That's a great shout from you. That's such a great shout.
The score was 3-1. Can you tell me the scorers? Donaldson was one.
Forrester
was one.
No, Forrester
wasn't there.
Yeah. Last one.
Harley Dean.
Nah, not Harley Dean. He had one of his best seasons, his best season in Brentfordshire, and it shouldn't have happened, and it was completely out of the blue.
Diagaraga.
No, not Diagaraga. He was fantastic that season. He normally plays on the right side of midfield, but I think in that season he was actually starting more central. Club legend, still involved with the club.
Kevin O'Connor.
Sam Saunders scored the goal I think it was in the first half, and he did some wacky celebration. Do you not remember?
No, you're going back a while.
It is back a while. Did you both go?
I didn't go.
I don't think I was there.
Shame.
Jesus, plastic fans. You're calling us out here.
I know. I mean, I was like 13, so...
It didn't stop me, mate.
I know, yeah, but...
How old were you if you were 13? Oh, yeah, you were 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was 14. Jesus.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. No, but we had this conversation before.
Maybe next
if
week
you've
we'll
got
do a
older
bit more
family
research.
or parents or old siblings and stuff you could go to those away games. I'm the oldest brother. I couldn't. There was
That's not an excuse.
Well,
There's a club coach. Get on that.
Pay your £10 on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm not having.
I did go to Portugal though to see the B team.
Yeah, exactly.
Loyal supporter.
Yeah.
What do we reckon of Adam Forshaw? I think he's one of my favourite ever Brentford players. If I could have one, there was a tweet doing the rounds on Twitter a couple of weeks ago.
No, it's got to be Ben Rama.
It was like if you could have one player back in their foot, apart from Ben Rama, obviously. But I think Adam Forshaw is right up there.
I remember being gutted when he left, but you kind of knew he was going to.
Yeah.
He was too good.
He was a good player. He was very good in the league, and he played well in the midfield with the other boys we had. He went to Wigan to pursue his dream of probably playing in the Premier League. Didn't work out. Then he went to Leeds, and he's still at Leeds.
Didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and look, I think he's probably one of Leeds. Is it still Leeds?
He's still at Leeds, yeah, but he's kind of a fringe player. Like some weeks I see him starting, some weeks but he's really injury prone.
Bielsa really liked him, but he didn't play for like 2 years, and then he came back, and Bielsa was like, I think I'm right in saying this, he was like very happy that he was back, and then he got a few runs out, and then I think he got injured again. But yeah, it's not great.
On the bench that day, Farid El Alagui.
Gillingham away.
Martin Philo,
Jesus.
I think he played about 10 games that season. There's so much hype around
Any
him.
other good names in there?
Tamani Diagraga, Will mentioned it. There was that season where he went from just like a mediocre
went
player
to
literally Zidane within.
Went on loads of Portsmouth for a bit, and then he came back, and he was
so
unbelievable.
good.
I remember him against Millwall away. I think we won 3-2, and Danny Shittu got an own goal at the end.
But that was
our game.
That was the first game on away
day.
Really?
And he was unbelievable that game.
He used to just like it was so weird.
First
like,
season in Championship, he was unbelievable.
It was ridiculous. Sam Saunders was amazing that season again. Do you remember that free kick he scored against? Was it Wickham? Oh, I'm going to get slated from my memory again. Swindon when he falls over before.
He trips over. That's routine.
Yeah.
That's Swindon, yeah. I remember that.
He was unreal that season. A lot of good names from that squad. So next week, maybe if you're going to be back on, Will, you got to think of a game for us to give us shouts to.
He's going to get us on like Rogue One.
Maybe we need to start going a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to start going a little bit more recently than as opposed to 10 years ago.
Oh no, it's good to revisit the past.
All right, cool.
Do you have any stories from this? If you were there.
I don't have any stories. No, it's just a great day. I just remember it being class.
Run-of-the-mill,
wasn't that far.
Run-of-the-mill win in that
his first pint.
Wasn't that far.
There's
good goals.
13.
I think Donaldson scored relatively late on as well, maybe to make it 3-1. It's always good when you're 2-1 up and then you get a third to seal it.
Yeah,
I feel that's always a great goal.
I always remember was it Ben Rama or Watkins that scored the third one? I always remember. I can't remember which one scored. I think it was Ben Rama.
Was Watkins to make it 3-1.
Was it Watkins?
Yeah,
Ben Rama scored the second. Yeah,
penalty.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite Brentford away days. Underrated because it was like on like a Tuesday or Wednesday night.
Yeah,
that was so good.
We'll move on to like a proper preview for Fulham then. Looking back at the defeat earlier in the season, what were your thoughts kind of just straight after full time that day?
Pissed off,
fuming and sunburned.
Raging. Just absolutely raging. But I thought, I can't remember too much. I was very drunk. The initial reaction afterwards was that they've done a job on us there.
Yeah, and
it's probably how we felt the years of doing them. But frustrating, and I was thinking at the time, if as the season goes on, their sort of honeymoon period back in the Prem will wear off, and we'll go from strength to strength, and then it seems they've actually kept it up and are actually a very good team. So I'm worried. I am worried. I'll take a draw.
Okay, I want to win.
Yeah, obviously I want to win. I won 7-0.
I think the first game then being better.
Broken leg.
We still couldn't defend set pieces. Well, we couldn't until Mr. Sisson.
Klaus.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. He came in and Reema left.
It was Stephen Dawson. Sorry.
That's like if you get that.
Yeah.
No, but I do remember them being better than us, and that's been under the cosh for a lot of that game. We kept a bit better in the second half, and then kind of that goal was.
Tell you who was good when he came on. Keane Lewis Potter.
Yeah.
And then people were like, I think I was watching a different game to be honest, because he was attacking in front of us, and you're right about the directness. He was getting the ball and attacking the players, and there was a bit of skill and a bit of flair, a bit of excitement. You never know what's coming next, and then we never see him again. I didn't know was he injured.
No,
he did get injured.
He got injured for a little bit, and then he's kind of because we've been doing so well. We kind of said it because we've been doing so well. Don't change the team. Just leave it.
The lucky thing for him is Wisa is incapable of playing more than 60 minutes of football in a game.
Yeah. But I was really impressed with him at Palace. Like I thought with how direct he was. Every time he got the ball, he was looking to run at players, and there was kind of a moment where he kind of weaved in and out. It was really good, and it was kind of like that when he came on against Fulham as well.
Yeah,
the squad depth was just so nice compared to like last season. Obviously, a lot of the reason in hindsight that we struggled was injuries. Yeah, we had like Mads Beck and Charlie Good starting in a back three, with a fit centre back was there. If you compare it to now, and you look at that bench, and like. Someone was saying on Saturday, like, I don't think Goddard is injured, but he wasn't even on the bench. Like, he actually couldn't be picked. I might be wrong in saying this, but like, there wasn't an injury report with Goddard on it, and he wasn't on the bench.
Would you say this game's a 6-pointer? I don't. As in terms of what?
Stupid phrase, but it is a 6-pointer.
Yeah,
a Conference League 6-pointer.
Yeah,
I think so.
If we beat them, we've still a game in hand. In fact, we might have 2 if they play this weekend.
Yeah, they do play this weekend. They're playing Forest
at home.
Yes.
So, yeah, if we do beat them, then that puts us. Well, I can't even work it out in my head now. But either way, if we do beat...
Great analysis.
Sorry, this is absolutely terrible. We'll edit this one out. But obviously we've got a game in hand on them, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
If we beat them, that puts us above them by 2, ignoring this week's result.
We'll still probably win.
And then we've got 2 games in hand, one against Southampton and one against United.
What you're trying to
I think
say basically is it's a 6-pointer.
Yeah. We'll go with it.
I think those 2 games against we got Brighton away and Fulham at home. Those are going to be 2 very big games. With the way that we're getting through the top 6, though,
you've got to win all the other ones though.
Yeah.
Or get points out.
I mean, with the way those 3 I think Brighton are starting to falter a little bit. Like, I know that they do win most of the games they play, but they've had a couple of losses, a couple of draws in the last few.
Did you see the stats for the Fulham game?
Yeah,
Literally, like Fulham's only shot.
But just that result for Fulham's massive. Like, I really did not see that coming. Them going there and actually getting all 3.
Tell you what's good though. I was thinking about this during the week. We've played. You know when it gets to the end of the season and everyone's either fighting for 3 points to stay up, or the season's kind of already over. And unless it's, I know we got City last game of the season, so we take that one.
We have Spurs the week before.
Yeah, so they might be going for top 4, but we've already played Bournemouth twice. We've already played Leeds twice. We've got 1 game against Southampton left. Everton we've got to play again. But if we get those games out of the way, then it's just mid-table teams going. And they'll be probably in the same boat with us. We're just obviously you want to win and maybe get Europe, but. I was just saying, if we had like a Leeds last game of the season, like we did last year, where we're just not going to win.
Like if it's us that needs 3 points to maybe get into Europe.
Yeah,
and then you're playing a team that like needs 3 points
City
to stay up. Like there's more incentive to stay up, isn't there? There's going to be more for them.
Yeah,
I mean, City like that last game of the season we could be influencing.
We could help them with
I think it's going to come down to the end of the season.
I say we let them
with the way that it's
going.
So
you let us
stop Arsenal winning.
Would you? There shouldn't even be a question, but would you lose to not get Conference League just so Arsenal didn't win the league? Exactly.
No,
okay, good. That's the right answer. That was the right answer.
We'll give Arsenal 1.
Yeah,
just let them have.
We'll go on our European soil.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have
Kazakhstan
a season in Europe. Relegation the following year, and then that's me done.
Maybe that brings.
That's what you could just done.
I'm happy.
Speaking of Europe, maybe that brings us on to Will's escapade.
We should talk a little bit. So Will, I'll give you the leading role here. Tell us about your trip to Albufeira.
Little scouting trip to Portugal to see the B team. It was a very good trip. What a country! What a great place. I hope we do a pre-season with the actual team in the summer. That would be unreal. But no, we went out there, flew out there. There was a game on a Thursday. And I know we always say this about away games, but the 90 minutes of football was actually the worst bit. It was so cold. Their bar wasn't open, so they forced us to drink our beers outside the ground. There was a bit of vomit before the game. And they were tempted of not letting us in, and they said it was free entry, and then they tried to charge us a tenner to go and watch that. The game was awful.
Didn't the club pay for you?
Yeah, some bloke, fair play to the club. If you're watching this, mister from the club, he came out and he just gave us, which was just printed off on like Microsoft Word, had Brentford's logo and whoever we were playing against logo. That was it.
So printed your fake tickets, basically.
We got in with them. So, yeah. But no, so it was good. And then I tell you what, it's class out there. €2 for a pint of Super Bock or Sagres, unbelievable. And everyone out there is sound. There's no issues. There was a big fight on one night, but and I did
get sponsored by the Portuguese Tourism Board on this podcast.
yeah, exactly.
That's a nice part of the world.
It is, and I did miss a flight home. Unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
So, but it happens. It happens. What more can you do? I'm only human.
Any B team players to watch?
Did you see much
I'll tell you what. There was actually
Trevitt.
The Trevster. He's unbelievable.
Good. He's really good.
Trev Dino. I love him. But no, there was a scout out there, and you could tell he was either full of shit or what. But at half time, he came over to us, and I noticed he had Bournemouth shorts on. He came over. All right, lads, what do you make of that? I said, oh, it's all right. 0-0. Nothing really happened at all. I said, he goes, I'm a scout, and I said, okay. Well, who are you scouting for? He said, I can't really tell you. But it's a club similar to yours. And I was thinking, I've seen Bournemouth, and I was thinking, it's not really similar to Brentford. I mean, other than fairly small
Starts with B.
Starts with B. You know, by the river, by the sea. Close. But I was like, surely it's not Bournemouth. He's maybe Brighton or something. And he goes, no, Bournemouth. And anyway, he said, right, okay. So, are you looking at anyone out here? And he goes, no, well, I've just been sent out to look at mainly the English players, but also a couple of the Danish teams there, or the Scandinavians. And I said, did you notice anyone good out here? And he goes, I think it's number 8, and I think that's Trevitt. And I was like, Trevitt, because that's him. So, well, hands off, he's ours, you're not having him. And so he got told, but he was so secretive, and yet he just told us that he's looking to go scout for Newcastle.
Hands off Trevitt, Bournemouth.
Yeah, hands off Trevitt, he's ours.
He actually is a good player.
He's unreal.
He came on against when it was Colchester, wasn't it?
Colchester.
Yeah, and he was good. He was good, and there are people raving about him.
Yeah,
I know. Sheriff likes him.
Sheriff likes him.
Sheriff doesn't like many players.
Sheriff doesn't like many players at all. So
isn't that Alex Gilbert supposed to be quite good as well?
Gilbert.
I always see him scoring.
Waterside. Gilbert. Jeez, I couldn't even tell you who's who on that team, to be honest. That's how much watching us football.
Did you see any of Mr. Beckham?
We saw him walk across. He gave me a nice wave.
I heard you screamed his name.
I said, Romeo. But no, yeah, it was. I tell you what, it's the worst game of football we've ever seen. I managed to find it on Bet365.
Okay.
And I put a tenner on 1-1 at half time. It was 11-1. I went to the toilet in the second half, missed their goal, and from kickoff we almost scored to make it 1-1. And so I missed the only bit of action in the whole game. So yeah, the football was absolutely
Was it a
atrocious.
South Korean team?
I believe it's champions of South Korea.
So rogue, isn't it?
I got a picture of their
Well, it's
goal.
because they had Zenit before, but obviously they're not allowed anymore.
Touchy subject now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Zenit St. Petersburg, so. But no, it was a very good trip, and we should definitely do Portugal pre-season.
Yeah.
Would you go back next year if they did what? Because this is the second year.
I'd go back, but not for the football.
No, what?
Just
find some romance with girls from Norwich.
And I think that would be a good way to end the podcast. The Ealing Road podcast will be back next week at some point. We're trying to sort out some guests for that. But yeah, we'll be back between now and then at least once. It might be twice, depending on if we can get a couple of guests in before the Fulham game. So we will see you then, and after that, after the Fulham game. So thank you very much for listening. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow us on Twitter. Cheers guys.
Nice one.